Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. Just need to make a video on the VWAP indicator. You may not be sure how to use it and how to maybe use it for trades. So currently at the moment, we've got gold with a mixed status. Now, why is it mixed? Well, if it was an uptrend, you'd be really wanting that green line above the orange. So the H1 is above the H4, okay? We've got the daily below, so that's okay for longs. But ideally, in an ideal world, is that we have the green above the orange. Now, for this purpose of this video, it's just simply a case of how you could potentially use it for trades, and you could have your stop loss at the daily VWAP. So it's going to be sufficiently wide to cater for a lot of noise. But if you're going to take a trade anyway on any system, you probably wouldn't want to do something like this, because you're risking, you're risking that for that, which it hasn't got a great payoff. Admittedly, we may get there. It's likely we're going to get there, but you can't have too many trades with this kind of setup with a negative R. You've got to try and go for like 1R. So you're risking that to get that, so it's equal. Okay, ideally you'd have it a little bit higher, so you're not going to break even long term. Now, the whole point of trading is the long term aspect of it. You can't really be just doing that while risking that. And even some people will trade without stop loss. If you know what you're doing, it's something you could do, but you just have to be incredibly careful and know your sizes and know when you're wrong. The thing with like having no stop loss, you can exit. It doesn't necessarily mean you won't exit. You just have to exit when you're wrong. So having a physical one or like a mental one, you could have. So if you're new or experienced, I would still recommend a stop loss, just so you know, at least know where you're going to target. Okay, and if you're confident on a direction, then you could remove it, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. The whole point of having the stop loss, it gives you that risk parameter and control about where your target is. So without the stop loss, where's your TP? All right, so it's great in that respect. And so we're going okay. We've got a long above the daily VWAP, so technically okay, technically. And so probably what might happen is that in 15 minutes or so, we may have these two lines converge, and then the next hour, the green line might be above the orange line, and up we go. So yeah, we're coming up to 4,100, so there's probably going to be some stops there. And don't forget we had the 4K breach, and we've really moved since yesterday. We've absolutely rocketed off that low. So the use case there. Be careful with the S&P because currently we've got the green line below the orange and the orange below the blue, daily H4, H1. So therefore we are trending lower. However, if you wanted to take like a counter trend trade, you could look for a long at the hourly VWAP. But when I say counter trend, we just have to zoom out to the daily and the weekly. And this move here is just a blip in the scheme of things, because we're up like 20% or something ridiculous. I think Andy said we're up 22 or 24% on the DAX. So like a 2% move is really not much at all. All right, so it's a 4% move. It's quite large, but still in the scheme of things, we're still bullish. So you could look for buying the dip, 66.22 with a TP here. So if you have a TP there, your stop's going to be wide. So you could theoretically look for that. You can't do as there buy, and then we're going to place a stop here. Might be all right. 66.20. Okay. Stop loss is fine. Maybe put it to 19, and then we're gonna yeah, we can double that, can't we? I can't actually calculate how much that is. Let's do the calc. Let's get that. My maths is terrible. I could probably work that out. Cancel, paste, times 2. Okay, 294. So it's a 2R. So that's definitely achievable. Okay, it's peanuts money because it's the minimum size, but you can see how you could potentially use the VWAP indicator for your stop loss placement and your TP. You probably want to target H4, so you're getting a better than 2R trade there. Even maybe or even up here, but it's a bit of a long shot. I'll probably stick it there, and you're getting a good risk to reward. And yeah, up we go potentially, but we'll have to wait and see. So gold's probably going to continue pumping because the fact we've got is daily VWAP. So and we may even get to target there, which would be nice. Just on the tiny size as well, it's nearly $50. So it's the use case scenario how to use the VWAPs. Very simple. Doesn't really need much explaining. You're just using these levels for stop loss placements. And if you've got your stop loss placement there, then at least you can project where your take profit is. And that's the use case scenario for the VWAP indicator. And just good luck with your trades. And remember to also check your sentiment and your fundamentals as well.